Hi everyone, this is my labor and delivery video. I want to thank everyone who sent me congrats and welcome Carter into the world. I really appreciate it. If you can hear the music in the background, it's Carter in his swing. He'll only sit in it if the music's playing, so that's what's in the background. I hope it's not too distracting. So let's see what happened. On Monday, I went to the doctor and I got checked. And this is the first time I had been checked. And when I was checked, he told me I was 1 centimeter dilated. And he also did a membrane sweep on me. After I left the doctor, I had some mild cramping, which he said is normal. And by the time I got home, like I had like severe cramping and like I guess small contractions, but nothing really serious. So by the time I got home and ate something, and they were just still coming like small contractions off and on, and I was like, oh, this is just false labor. So, you know, I drank some water and laid down because that's what the doctor said to do. And I couldn't go to sleep because they just kept coming and coming and coming. So I figured this was the real thing. So around 9 o'clock p.m., I think the real contractions started, and they started getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And I tried to sleep through some of them, but they just kept coming and coming. They were still mild around 9 o'clock. It didn't get really, really bad until probably like 2 in the morning. But I still didn't get any rest. So I didn't get any sleep because the contractions were so strong. So by 12 o'clock I was having contractions every 5 minutes. Like back to back to back, strong contractions. But I didn't want to go into the doctor, so I just kind of labored in my room because I figured it was just early labor. And I was like, if it's just early labor, then I don't want to go in because I don't want to be in the hospital all night. So I kind of labored at home. At about 3 o'clock, I threw up. At 3:30, I threw up again. And then at 5 o'clock, I threw up again. So I threw up all my food, so I had absolutely nothing in my system. So I was like empty. By the time it was 4 in the morning, I had to like stand up and walk through the contractions. And I started using the birthing ball to see if that would like help me a little bit. And it gave me a little relief. I was actually able to take like maybe a 10-minute nap before another contraction started, which was awesome. Then it got really bad and I called my doula. And she told me to go ahead and get in the tub. So I got in the tub for about an hour, and the contractions definitely, they died down. Like I was still having them, but they weren't as intense. So it was much better in the tub. I was actually able to take a nap, like a 1-hour nap in the tub, which was awesome. So I got out the tub and thought I was going to go lay in bed and take a little nap, that maybe the water had slowed them down. So I got out and I got in the bed, and they were right back as intense as ever. Like it was horrible. I was gonna cry. And my doula called me back and she told me to go ahead and get up and eat something and walk. So I went upstairs. I couldn't eat anything because I couldn't keep anything down. So I did not eat, but I drank water and I had some Powerade. Just so I wouldn't be dehydrated. And then I just kind of walked up and down the halls of my house, and it helped with the contractions, but they were coming like back to back to back. Like I didn't get a break to breathe. They were coming back to back to back so much, and labor sucks. I know a lot of people were like, oh, it wasn't that bad and I did this and I went all natural. Like those contractions really hurt. Like I was crying and they were horrible. I don't understand, like, people who go natural, hoorah, because I was in so much pain. I could, oh my gosh. They were like back to back to back. I didn't get a second to breathe. And I was just sure that like I was like 5 centimeters or something dilated. So when they got really, really bad and they were like back to back to back, this is like 8:30. Me and my sister, we finally went up to the hospital. So we got to the hospital around 9 o'clock. In the car on the way there, my contractions weren't that bad. It was almost like the car was helping them to not feel as painful. Like, I still had contractions, but they weren't as bad. But as soon as I got to the hospital and they took me up to my room and checked me in and everything, oh my gosh, I couldn't even change into my gown. They hurt so bad. Like, I just had to stand there and just wait for them to pass, and then I would have another one back to back. I couldn't do anything. It was horrible. And then so I finally get changed into my gown, and the nurse comes in and she checks me. I'm like 1.5 centimeters dilated. I was so mad. I was like, are you serious? All this pain? Like, I'd been laboring since 9 p.m. the night before till 9 a.m. and I was still only 1.5 centimeters dilated. So I wasn't even really dilated at all. So she convinces the doctor, though, to let me stay because my contractions were back to back to back. I was 100% effaced. The baby was all the way down. She could feel his head. And I didn't break my water yet, but she could feel like his head where the water should have been. So, what happened next? Okay, so me and my sister are there, and she's like, I'm going to come back in an hour, and I'm going to check you again. So she comes back in an hour, and she checks me, and I'm 2 centimeters. Hoorah. So, the contractions at this point are unbearable, and I can't even sit down. So I'm standing up through all my contractions, and they're super strong, and they're back to back. Eventually my cousin and my aunt came. They were like my labor people. So it was my sister, my cousin, and my aunt. They all helped me through labor, and they were awesome. They helped me to breathe. They were really supportive. Thank all of you for sharing that moment with me, for just being there. I really appreciate it. So I guess by like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, she came back to check me again, and I was 3 centimeters dilated. The contractions were so intense, like, it was just so intense. Like, I couldn't breathe. They were looking at the charts, and they were just like, oh my gosh, like, she's not going to make it. So the nurse comes in, and she asks me if I want to do an epidural. And at first I was like, I'm going to go in and see how the contractions are, and then I'll decide whether I want medicine or not. I was like, yes, please, give me an epidural. I felt like I would have been able to do it without the medicine if the contractions weren't so close together, back to back to back like that. But they were back to back to back, and I was still in early labor. I was nowhere near 5 centimeters, and I was like, what am I going to do? It was just terrible. So about 1:30, I finally got my epidural. It was awesome. Like, as soon as he gave it to me, I felt a little cramping, that it was a contraction, and then I didn't feel anything else. After I got my epidural, they checked me again. I was still 3 centimeters. And then I got some rest. I slept. My doula came right after I got my epidural, and like, she helped me turn in the bed. We put the bed in different positions to help the baby come down. I mean, we did tons of things. The doctor came in at about 5 o'clock. This was not my doctor. She was the doctor who was on call that day for the whole day. So unfortunately, my doctor did not get to deliver me. But I didn't like her because as soon as she came in, she was like screaming C-section. And I'm like, it's no need for me to get a C-section. She sent me all these papers in because when she checked me, I was losing a lot of blood, I guess. And she said, this is too much blood. So she was like, you're going to need C-section. So they come back with these papers and tell me to sign. I'm like, I'm not going to sign the C-section paper unless needed. So my nurse was like, I don't blame you. So that was cool. My nurse was really, really cool. So after that, I was in labor for hours, and I wasn't really progressing quickly. She came back again and checked me about 6 and accidentally broke my water, which I was still only 3 centimeters. But once she broke my water, we thought things would start moving along. Eventually, I got the chills. really bad. And I think it was just a reaction to the epidural, but I was freezing cold and I was shaking, and we put extra blankets on, sweaters, like everything, because I was so cold. And I think it made me, to the touch, I was hot, but I was shaking, like I had the shivers. So after that, the doctor came in and she said that I had a fever. This is like 8 o'clock. So she said the baby's heart rate is really high and then I had a fever. And she said, you're going to have to get a C-section. And I said, well, you know, they gave me antibiotics. And I said, since you're giving me antibiotics and I can eat some ice and we can wait and see if the fever comes down, the baby heart rate goes down. So she came back like maybe 30 minutes later, and my fever had not gone down and the baby's heart rate was still really high. So she's basically just like, you need a C-section. And then she walks out. She's like, do you need some time to think about it? And then she walks out. So she was kind of really rude and blunt. And I was devastated because I didn't want to have a C-section. I wanted to have a natural, you know, a natural delivery like everyone else. I felt like having a C-section took away my, I don't know, the experience of birthing a baby. Like, I didn't get to push. I didn't get to hold my baby as soon as they came out. Like, sorry. It just took away the joy of having a baby. It was just, I was really upset about it. But I wanted what was best for the baby. So the nurse sat down and talked to me, and my cousin was really supportive because she'd had a C-section. So she was there for me to help me. And my doula talked to me. Like, everyone just kind of comforted me. And it wasn't that I was scared. I just wanted to have a natural delivery like everybody else. So, sorry. It was just really disappointing that nothing went as planned. So, by 9 o'clock, they were wheeling me down the hall to the ER to go get a C-section. And I got in there, and she said, I'm going to put this blue stuff on your belly. My nurse said that. And I said, I've always wanted to be blue. So just trying to make light of the situation. So they painted my belly, and the anesthesiologist, he was really nice, and he was just really supportive and there for me. And before I knew it, they were making the first incision, and my sister was coming in the room. So me and my sister just kind of talked as they got the baby out. And Carter was here at 9:17. He was born. And they brought him around the curtain, and they showed him to me. And he was wide awake and alert and crying so loud. And that was my baby. He was here. And they wrapped him up, and they showed him to me for a second. And then they took him away to the nursery. And that's all I remember. After that, I guess I was in recovery. They knocked me out, and I didn't. Next thing I know, I was waking up, and they were rolling me to the nursery to see my baby. So they bring Carter out, and I was asking, like, will I be able to do skin to skin for an hour? And they're like, the baby won't be in the room with you today. He's going to stay in the nursery. And I was really sad about that. So they showed me Carter for about 5 minutes or so. I got to hold him and see him, and then they pushed me to the postpartum room. Once I was in the postpartum room, my family was there. My cousin, my sister, my doula, my aunt were all there, and they showed me pictures of Carter, and they showed me him getting his first bath and everything. It was awesome. So after that, I went to sleep. That was like kind of everything. And when I woke up in the morning, I asked if he had to get an IV, if he was okay, and they said no, and they brought him to me about 9 a.m. So that was the first time I actually got to hold Carter, you know, for more than a few seconds. And I took a couple pictures with him, and then I immediately took all his clothes off and put him against my chest so we could do skin to skin. And I don't know, it was great. It was just awesome. I was so happy. He breastfed right away. Like as soon as I put him on my chest, it was like he knew who I was. So I don't know. I guess that's what was important. So Carter got here safely. I was fine. I didn't have a fever after he was born. His heart rate went down. Everything was great actually after he was born. So I don't know. It was really emotional. Sorry. I'm just crying all over everyone. So I stayed in the hospital for 4 days. I got to go home on the 11th of March. And Carter was born on the 8th of March at 9:17. He weighed 7 pounds 9 ounces and was 19 inches long. And I'll show you him really quick. He's over here in his swing. But that's my labor and delivery story. Sorry I was so emotional, but it was really like emotional for me to go through a C-section. So I'm going to show you Carter, and then I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.